Hi, it's me again. I'll be reading some more from this Bible. Exodus chapter 10, a plague of locusts. Then the Lord said to Moses, return to Pharaoh and again make your demands. I have made him and his officials stubborn, so I can't continue to display my power, my power, by performing miraculous signs among them. You will be able to tell wonderful stories to your children and grandchildren about the marvelous things I am doing among the Egyptians to prove that I am the Lord. So Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said, this is what the Lord, the God of the Hebrews says. How long will you refuse to submit to me? Let my people go so they can worship me. If you refuse, watch out, for tomorrow I will cover the whole country with locusts. There will be so many that you won't be able to see the ground. They will devour everything that escaped the hailstorm, including all the trees in the fields. They will overrun your palaces and the homes of your officials and all the houses of Egypt. Never in the history of Egypt has there been a plague like this one. And with that, Moses turned and walked out. The court officials now came to Pharaoh and appealed to him. How long will you let these disasters go on? Please let the Israelites go to serve the Lord their God. Don't you realize that Egypt lies in ruins? So Moses and Aaron were brought back to Pharaoh. All right, go and serve the Lord your God, he said. But tell me, just whom do you want to take along, young and old? All of us will go, Moses replied. We will take our sons and daughters and our flocks and herds. We must all join together in a festival to the Lord. Pharaoh retorted, the Lord will certainly need to be with you if you try to take your little ones along. I can see through your wicked intentions. Never. Only the men may go and serve the Lord, for that is what you requested. You requested. And Pharaoh threw them out of the palace. Then the Lord said to Moses, raise your hand over the land of Egypt to bring on the locusts. Let them cover the land and eat all the crops still left after the hailstorm. So Moses raised his staff, and the Lord caused an east wind to blow all that day. And through the night, when morning arrived, the east wind had brought the locusts, and the locusts swarmed over the land of Egypt from border to border. It was the worst locust plague in Egyptian history, and there has never again been one like it. For the locusts covered the surface of the whole country, making the ground look black. They ate all the plants and all the fruit on the trees that had survived the hailstorm. Not one green thing one green thing remained, neither tree nor plant throughout the land of Egypt. Pharaoh quickly sent for Moses and Aaron. I confess my sin against the Lord your God and against you. He said to them, forgive my sin only this once, and plead with the Lord your God to take away this terrible plague. So Moses left Pharaoh and pleaded with the Lord. The Lord responded by sending a strong west wind that blew the locusts out into the Red Sea. Not a single locust remained in all the land of Egypt. But the Lord made Pharaoh stubborn once again, and he did not let the people go. The people go. The plagues, what happened was not blood. The people don't have any water. Pharaoh's magicians also turn water into blood. Exodus chapter 7, verses 14 to 24. Frogs. Frogs cover the land. Pharaoh's magicians also make frogs appear. Exodus chapter 8, verses 1 to 15. GNATS. All the dust of Egypt turns into GNATS. Musicians say it is. It is the finger of God, but Pharaoh's heart is still hard and stubborn. Exodus chapter 8, verses 16 to 19. Flies. Swarms of flies cover the land. Pharaoh promises to let the Hebrews go, but then hardens his heart. Exodus chapter 8. Exodus chapter 8, verses 20 to 32. Boils, horrible boils break out on everyone. Musicians cannot do anything because they have boils too. Exodus chapter 9, verses 8 to 12. Hailstorms kill all the slaves and animals left outside. Pharaoh refuses to let the people go. Exodus chapter 9, verses 13 to 35. Livestock. All the Egyptians' livestock died, but none of Israel's are even sick. Pharaoh still refuses to let the people go. Exodus chapter 9, verses 1 to 7. Locusts cover Egypt and eat everything. Everyone advises Pharaoh to let the Hebrews go, but he refuses. Hebrews chapter 10, verses 1 to 20. Darkness. Total darkness covers Egypt for 3 days, but the Hebrews still have light. Pharaoh promises to let Israel go, but changes his mind. Exodus chapter 10, verses 21 to 29. Death of firstborn, the firstborn of all. The people and livestock of Egypt die. Pharaoh makes Israel leave, but changes his mind and chases after them. Exodus chapter 11, verse 1 to chapter 12, verse 33. Plague of darkness. Then the Lord said to Moses, lift your hand toward heaven, and a deep and terrifying darkness will descend on the land of Egypt. So Moses lifted his hand toward heaven, and there was deep darkness over the entire land for 3 days. During all that time, the people scarcely moved, for they could not see. But there was light as usual where the people of Israel lived. Then Pharaoh called for Moses, go and worship the Lord, he said, but let your flocks and herds stay here. You can even take your children with you. No, Moses said, we must take our flocks and herds for sacrifices and burnt offerings to the Lord our God. All our property must go with us, not a hoof can be left behind. We will have to choose our sacrifices for the Lord our God from among these animals, and we won't know which sacrifices he will require until we get there. So the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart once more, and he would not let them go. Get out of here, Pharaoh shouted at Moses. Don't ever let me see you again. The day you do, you will die. Very well, Moses replied. I will never see you again. Exodus chapter 11, death for Egypt's firstborn. Then the Lord said to Moses, I will send just one more disaster on Pharaoh and the land of Egypt. After that, Pharaoh will let you go. In fact, he will be so anxious to get rid of you that he will practically force you to leave the country. Tell all tell all the tell all the Israelite men and women to ask their Egyptian neighbors for articles of silver and gold. Now the Lord had caused the Egyptians to look favorably on the people of Israel, and Moses was considered a very great man in the land of Egypt. He was respected by Pharaoh's officials and the Egyptian people alike. So Moses announced to Pharaoh, this is what the Lord says about midnight. I will pass through Egypt. All the firstborn sons will die in every family in Egypt, from the oldest son of Pharaoh who sits on the throne to the oldest son of his lowest slave. Even the firstborn of the animals will die. Then a loud wail will be heard throughout the land of Egypt. There has never been such wailing before, and there never will be again. But among the Israelites it will be so peaceful that not even a dog will bark. Then you will know that the Lord makes a distinction between the Egyptians and the Israelites. All the officials of Egypt will come running to me, bowing low. Please leave, they will beg. Hurry, and take all your followers with you. Only then will I go. Then, burning with anger, Moses left Pharaoh's presence. Now the Lord had told Moses, Pharaoh will not listen to you. Will not listen to you. But this will give me the opportunity to do even more mighty miracles in the land of Egypt. Although Moses and Aaron did these miracles in Pharaoh's presence, the Lord hardened his heart so he wouldn't let the Israelites leave the country. Exodus chapter 12, the first Passover. Now the Lord gave the following instructions to Moses and Aaron while they were still in the land of Egypt. From now on, this month will be the first month of the year for you. Announce to the whole community that on the 10th day of this month, each family must choose a lamb or a young goat for a sacrifice. If a family is too small to eat an entire lamb, let them share the lamb with another family in the neighborhood, whether or not they share in this way depends on the size of each family and how much they can eat. This animal must be a 1 year old male, either a sheep or a goat with no physical defects. Take special care of these lambs until the evening of the 14th day of this first month. Then each family in the community must slaughter its lamb. They are to take some of the lamb's blood and smear it on the top and sides of the door frame of the house where the lamb will be eaten. That evening, everyone must eat roast lamb with bitter herbs and bread made without yeast. The The meat must never be eaten raw or boiled. Roast it all, including the head, legs, and internal organs. Do not leave any of it until the next day. Whatever is not eaten that night must be born before morning. Before morning. Wear your traveling clothes as you eat this meal, as though prepared for a long journey. Wear your sandals and carry your walking sticks in your hands. Eat the food quickly, for this is the Lord's Passover. On that night I will pass through the land of Egypt and kill all the firstborn sons and firstborn male animals in the land of Egypt. I will execute judgment against all the gods of Egypt, for I am the Lord. The blood you have smeared on your doorpost will serve as a sign. When I see the blood, I will pass over you. This plague of death will not touch you when I strike the land of Egypt. You must remember this day forever. Each year you will celebrate it as a special festival to the Lord. For 7 days you may eat only bread made without yeast. On the very first day you must remove every trace of yeast from your homes. Anyone who eats bread made with yeast at any time during the 7 days the festival will be cut off from the community of Israel on the first day of the festival, and again on the seventh day. All the people must gather for a time of special worship. No work of any kind may be done on these days except in the preparation of food. Celebrate this festival of unleavened bread, for it will remind you that I brought your forces out of the land of Egypt on this very day. This festival will be a permanent regulation for you to be kept from generation to generation. Only bread without yeast may be eaten from the evening of the 14th day of the month until the evening of the 21st day of the month. During those 7 days, there must be no trace of yeast in your homes. Anyone who eats anything made with yeast during this week will be cut off from the community of Israel. The same regulations apply to the foreigners living with you, as if they had been born among you. I repeat, during those days you must not eat anything made with yeast. Wherever you live, eat only bread that has no yeast in it. Then Moses called for the leaders of Israel and said, tell each of your families to slaughter the lamb they have set apart for the Passover. Drain each lamb's blood into a basin, then take a cluster of hyssop branches and dip it into the lamb's blood. Strike the hyssop against the top and sides of the door frame, staining it with the blood. And remember, no one is allowed to leave the house until morning. For the Lord will pass through the land and strike down the Egyptians, but when he sees the blood on the top and sides of the doorframe, the Lord will pass over your home. He will not permit the destroyer to enter and strike down your firstborn. Remember, these instructions are permanent and must be observed by you and your descendants forever. When you arrive in the land the Lord has promised to give you, you will continue to celebrate this festival. Then your children will ask, What what does all this mean? What is this ceremony about? And you will reply, it is the celebration of the Lord's Passover. For he passed over the homes of the Israelites in Egypt. And though we killed the Egyptians, he spared our families and did not destroy us. Destroy us. Then all the people bowed their heads and worshipped. So the people of Israel did just as the Lord had commanded through Moses and Aaron. And at midnight the Lord killed all the firstborn sons in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn son of Pharaoh who sat on the throne to the firstborn son of the captive in the dungeon, even the firstborn of the livestock were killed. Pharaoh and his officials and all the people of Egypt woke up during the night, and loud wailing was heard throughout the land of Egypt. There was not a single house where someone had not died. Israel's exodus from Egypt. Pharaoh sent for Moses and Aaron during the night. Leave us, he cried. Go away, all of you. Go and serve the Lord as you have requested. Take your flocks and herds and be gone. Go, but give me a blessing as you leave. All the Egyptians urged the people of Israel to get out of the land as quickly as possible, for they thought we will all die. We will all die. The Israelites took with them their bread dough made without yeast. They wrapped their kneading bowls in their spare clothing and carried them on their shoulders. And the people of Israel did as Moses had instructed, and asked the Egyptians for clothing and articles of silver and gold. The Lord caused the Egyptians to look favorably on the Israelites, and they gave the Israelites whatever they asked for. So, like a victorious army, they plundered the Egyptians. The Egyptians. That night, the people of Israel left Ramses and started for Succoth. There were about 600,000 men, plus all the women and children, and they were all traveling on foot. Many people who were not Israelites went with them along with the many flocks and herds. Whenever they stopped to eat, they baked bread from the yeastless dough they had brought from Egypt. It was made without yeast because the people were washed out of Egypt and had no time to wait for bread to rise. The people of Israel had lived in Egypt for 430 years. In fact, it was on the last day of the 430th year that all the Lord that all the Lord's forces left the land. This night had been resolved by the Lord to bring his people out from the land of Egypt. So the same night now belongs to him. It must be celebrated every year from generation to generation to remember the Lord's deliverance. Instructions for the Passover. Then the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, these are the regulations for the festival of Passover. No foreigners are allowed to eat the Passover lamb, but any slave who has been purchased may eat it if he has been circumcised. Hired servants and visiting foreigners may not eat it. All who eat the lamb must eat it together in one house. You must not carry any of its meat outside, and you may not break any of its bones. The whole community of Israel must celebrate this festival at the same time. At the same time. If there were foreigners living among you who want to celebrate the Lord's Passover, let all the males be circumcised, then they may come and celebrate the Passover with you. They will be treated just as if they had been born among you, but an uncircumcised male may never eat of the Passover lamb. This law applies to everyone, whether a native-born Israelite or a foreigner who has settled among you. So the people of Israel followed all the Lord's instructions to Moses and Aaron, and that very day the Lord began to lead the people of Israel out of Egypt, division by division. Exodus chapter 13, dedication of the firstborn. Then the Lord said to Moses, dedicate to me all the firstborn sons of Israel, and every firstborn male and animal, they are mine. So Moses said to the people, this is a day to remember forever, the day you left Egypt, the place of your slavery. For the Lord has brought you out by his mighty power. Remember, you are not to use any yeast. This day in early spring will be the anniversary of your exodus. You must celebrate this day when the Lord brings you into the land of the Canaanites, Hittite, Amorites, Hivite, and Jebusite. This is the land he swore to give your ancestors, a land flowing with milk and honey. For 7 days you will eat only bread without yeast. Then on the seventh day you will celebrate a great feast to the Lord. Eat only bread without yeast during those 7 days. In fact, there must be no yeast in your homes or anywhere within the borders of your land during this time. During these festival days each year, you must explain to your children why you are celebrating. Say to them, this is a celebration of what the Lord did for us when we left Egypt. This annual festival will be a visible reminder to you, like a mark branded on your hands or your forehead. Let it remind you always to keep the Lord's instructions in your minds and on your lips. After all, it was the Lord who rescued you from Egypt with great power. So celebrate this festival at the appointed time each year. And remember these instructions when the Lord brings you into the land he swore to give your ancestors long ago, the land where the Canaanites are now living. All firstborn sons and firstborn male animals must be presented to the Lord. A firstborn male donkey may be redeemed from the Lord by presenting a lamb in its place. But if you decide not to make the exchange, the donkey must be killed by breaking its neck. However, you must redeem every firstborn son, and in the future your children will ask you, what does all this mean? then you will tell them, with mighty power the Lord brought us out of Egypt from our slavery. Pharaoh refused to let us go, so the Lord killed all the firstborn males throughout the land of Egypt, both people and animals. That is why we now offer all the firstborn males to the Lord, except that the firstborn sons are always redeemed. Again, I say, the ceremony will be like a mark branded on your hands or on your forehead. It is a visible reminder that it was the Lord who brought you out of Egypt with great power. With great power. Israel's wilderness detour. When Pharaoh finally let the people go, God did not lead them on the road that runs through Philistine territory, even though that was the shortest way from Egypt to the promised land. God said, if the people are faced with a battle, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. So God led them along a route through the wilderness toward the Red Sea, and the Israelites left Egypt like a marching army. Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for Joseph had made the sons of Israel swear that they would take his bones with them when God led them out of Egypt, as he was sure God would. Leaving SUCCOTH, they camped at ETH AM on the edge of the wilderness. The Lord guided them by a pillar of cloud during the day and a pillar of fire at night. That way they could travel, whether it was day or night. And the Lord did not remove the pillar of cloud or pillar of fire from their sight. Exodus chapter 14. Then the Lord gave these instructions to Moses. Tell the people to march toward Pihahiroth between Migdol and the sea. Camp there along the shore opposite Baalzephon. Then Pharaoh will think, those Israelites are confused. They are trapped between the wilderness and the sea. And once again, I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will chase after you. I have planned this, so I will receive great glory at the expense of Pharaoh and his armies. After this, the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. So the Israelites camped there as they were told. The Egyptians pursue Israel. When word reached the king of Egypt that the Israelites were not planning to return to Egypt after 3 days, Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds. What have we done, letting all these slaves get away? They asked. So Pharaoh called out his troops and led the chase in his chariot. He took with him 600 of Egypt's best chariots, along with the rest of the chariots of Egypt. each with a commander. The Lord continued to strengthen Pharaoh's resolve, and he chased after the people of Israel who had escaped so defiantly. All the forces and Pharaoh's army, all his horses, chariots, and charioteers were used in the chase. The Egyptians caught up with the people of Israel as they were camped beside the shore near Pihahiroth, across from Baalzephon. As Pharaoh and his army approached, the people of Israel could see them in the distance marching toward them. The people began to panic and they cried out to the Lord for help. For help. Then they turned against Moses and complained, Why did you bring us out here to die in the wilderness? Weren't there enough graves for us in Egypt? Why did you make us leave? Didn't we tell you to leave us alone while we were still in Egypt? Our Egyptian slavery was far better than dying out here in the wilderness. But Moses told the people, Don't be afraid, just stand where you are and watch the Lord rescue you. The Egyptians that you see today will never be seen again. The Lord himself will fight for you. You won't have to lift a finger in your defense. Escape through the Red Sea. Then the Lord said to Moses, Why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to get moving. Use your support staff. Hold it out over the water, and a path will open up before you through the sea. Then all the people of Israel will walk through on dry ground. Yet I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they will follow the Israelites into the sea. Then I will receive great glory at the expense of Pharaoh and his armies, chariots and charioteers. When I am finished with Pharaoh and his army, all Egypt will know that I am the Lord. The Lord. Then the angel of God, who had been leading the people of Israel, moved to a position behind them, and the pillar of cloud also moved around behind them. The cloud settled between the Israelite and Egyptian camps. As night came, the pillar of cloud turned into a pillar of fire, lighting the Israelite camp. But the cloud became darkness to the Egyptians, and they couldn't find the Israelites. Then Moses raised his hand over the sea, and the Lord opened up a path through the water with a strong east wind. The wind blew all the night, turning the seabed into dry land. So the people of Israel walked through the sea on dry ground, with walls of water on each side. Then the Egyptians, all of Pharaoh's horses, chariot, and charioteers, followed them across the bottom of the sea. But early in the morning the Lord looked down on the Egyptian army from the pillar of fire and cloud, and he threw them into confusion. Their chariot wheels began to come off, making their chariots impossible to drive. Let's get out of here, the Egyptians shouted. The Lord is fighting for Israel against us. Against us. When all the Israelites were on the other side, the Lord said to Moses, "Raise your hand over the sea again. Then the waters will wash back over the Egyptian chariots and charioteers." So as the sun began to rise, Moses raised his hand over the sea. The water roared back into its usual place, and the Lord swept the terrified Egyptians into the surging currents. The waters covered all the chariots and charioteers, the entire army of Pharaoh, of all the Egyptians who had chased the Israelites into the sea. Not a single one survived. Survived. The people of Israel had walked through the middle of the sea on dry land as the water stood up like a wall on both sides. This was how the Lord rescued Israel from the Egyptians that day, and the Israelites could see the bodies of the Egyptians washed up on the shore. When the people of Israel saw the mighty power that the Lord had displayed against the Egyptians, they feared the Lord and put their faith in him and his servant Moses. Okay, that's all for now. Bye-bye.